Greetings from Storybrooke. I'm Bobby Hawk.
And I'm Johnny Hooper.
And I'm Monica Jones.
And this is the land where we debate whether pancakes make a good dessert or not. We also talk about ABC's hit series Once Upon a Time. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good.
Good.
It's hurting a little bit, but I'll be all right.
What's that? What's hurting?
Head's hurting a little bit, but I'll be all right.
Aww.
Sorry to hear that. Just random headache or something, or
So random.
oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. All right. What about you, Monica? Anything new this week, or just ready to talk about this week's Once Upon a Time?
I am ready and raring to go on Once Upon a Time.
I'll tell you what. This season's been a little hit and miss. Don't know what we were looking forward to, but I got to say this is like one of my favorites, probably my favorite episode of the season at the very least. It was a really good episode. Hit the nail on. I don't know what I'm trying to say there.
Nail on the head.
Yeah, but Jane Espenson was the writer on this week's episode.
Oh, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, yes, it does. It does. One of my favorite writers in genre television working today. So, well, I mean, I think we all know where I know her from to begin with. Yeah.
So we can ding it.
Okay.
Yeah. But okay.
Yeah, she, the Buffy, she got her start working with Joss Whedon on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Went on to create Warehouse 13. You guys ever see that show, Warehouse 13?
Oh, I love Warehouse.
Yes, that was not only written but created by Jane Espenson.
Oh, no wonder I love her.
So yes, I mean, when it comes to genre television, she is one of the most creative writers working today. Anyway, yeah, ding the Buffy bell. But
Dang.
let's get on with this week's episode. Monica, you actually tried your hand at this week's rhyming summary, so why don't you go ahead and take that for us?
Regina cannot help her own son. Gisela tells a tale she has spun. Rumpel enjoyed a lifetime with Belle. Now he wants rid of the knife the right way as well. If Regina could not deceive her mother, what makes Gisela think herself smoother? While Rogers looks at his side, oh no, his lead may have died. Gisela's curse reflects a blackening heart. Suffer, obey, and stay apart. Magic comes with a price, it's the same with us all. Drink and remember in this week's episode, Wake Up Call.
Wake Up Call. Very, very good rhyme this week, Monica. Especially for first try there. I've only done it once. I mean, I've usually got my hands a little full with just the notes and everything else. But
the notes are a handful. I'll give you that.
I know it's a chore to take on, and I'm glad you could help us out this week.
It's a different spot.
So like I was saying earlier, I think that this brings to kind of a close. Like the first 5 or 6, this is the sixth episode now, right?
Yep.
So we got pretty much like the first part of the season, giving us kind of a refresher course on who the returning characters are and how they ended up where they're at here. But I also feel like over the past episode or two, we're finally getting a handle on Harbor Heights itself.
Hyperion.
Thank you, Hyperion Heights. I don't know why I said Harbor Heights. Anyway, I feel like we're finally getting a grasp as to the city, as to the story of what's going on. We finally have a grasp as to maybe not necessarily how, but at least who cast the curse. At least we think we do. I might have a note on that a little later. That being said, why don't we just go ahead and jump into this week's recap so we can see what we thought of this week's episode, Wake Up Call. So we open right where we left off last week as Ronnie and Henry discuss the photo that she found in the tower. She says it looks to be a scene from the book that he wrote, or he says, I'm sorry, it looks to be a scene from the book he wrote. They think it must be a fake, and Belfry is messing with them. Ronnie is ready to throw down when Jacinta comes in to ask for tools. She's fixing the food truck that her and Sabine bought. Henry offers to help, but gets the cold shoulder. In the other realm, it seems the magical carriage is due for repairs. Henry pulls out his Tron box to show Ella what a torque wrench is and how to use it. It seems word of the carriage travels far. Bandits come for the motorcycle, and Ella shows Henry how handy she can be with a torque wrench. Regina comes to save the day, but it seems like they have everything under control. Henry tells her they are about to go on a mission. He asks for her help, but she says that they can obviously take care of themselves. Ivy comes to check on Victoria. Back in Seattle, Ivy comes to check on Victoria and finds her laid out with a migraine. Obviously, she blames Ivy somehow. Excuse me there. Ivy suggests it may be the flowers Lucy brought her and offers to get rid of them. Instead, she brings them to the witch in the tower. They may have just enough magic, but she still needs one more thing. Ivy's tired of playing fetch until she's reminded of what they're fighting for. The witch tells her that she's worried about Regina finding the photo, and Ivy tells her after today that won't be a problem. Back at Ronnie's, Henry's found out what was with the silent treatment from Jacinta. Apparently, Ivy posted pics of their drunkoween on social media. Now he's worried what that might mean for him and Jacinta. Lucy runs in, wanting to know about the picture. No, the other picture. They try to tell her it's fake, but she says they just have to remember, and she knows just how to do it. Okay, so just starting from the back here. I know I've mentioned this before, but how is Lucy just like coming and going wherever she wants to come and go to? I mean, especially into bars in the middle of the afternoon. I know it's a stupid point to bring up, but
because Victoria is a horrible. It's
caretaker.
Yeah, whatever you want to call her.
But it's not just her. It's when Ivy was looking after her, when Jacinta was looking after her, they just let this kid come and go as she pleases. And
Jacinta, I think, was better about it, but the Ivy and Victoria just don't give a darn.
Well, with her being a main character, I understand they have to have her in scenes, so they can't just. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They have to have her in scenes, and unfortunately, this being the city it is, that a lot of the scenes take place, and I'd say about 85% of the scenes take place at Ronnie's bar. Even scenes that you don't even realize that you gotta like look for a second, and it's like, okay, I think that's Ronnie's bar. Whether it be the middle of the afternoon, daytime, nighttime, whatever, it's always at Ronnie's bar. So I guess if they're gonna have her interact with other characters, they just kind of have to have it happen and not explain it. And I know that's the least of what this show has to explain, but I'm sorry. I just, for some reason, it irks me. I guess maybe it's that I'm a parent, and it's like, who in their right mind would let their kid, just run around like that, especially in a big city like this. Anyway,
yeah, it's just kind of funny on how she just has so much freedom, so much run around. It's like making it seem like the city is kind of, in my opinion, quite small.
Yeah, we mentioned that last week. We mentioned that last week.
Like definitely like quite
small. And maybe we're just dealing with like Hyperion Heights. It's just like the downtown area, and so maybe it's just like a borough, like a 8 city block radius. I don't know. Maybe it is just really small. But yeah, we did mention that last week. How in like I think Ronnie's is like 2 blocks away from the precinct, and
I thought it was just down the street, like literally, like
yeah, like in the same shot. You see Ronnie's. Like when they show people going in and out of the precinct, you see the sign for Ronnie's over to the left. Shit, it's crazy. Yeah. Budget, they can't dress a whole city. They can just dress a street. So when you look this way, it's a different street. When you look that way, it's a different street. But anyway, that's backstage stuff. You had some more to add about Lucy, Tony.
Well, yeah, I mean, to actually go along with your point, actually, which is kind of funny, how persistent she is, like her father. I mean, of course, it seemed like Henry was almost everywhere too, if you remember. Always there at Granny's, always there at let's see, I want to say, I think mostly the same way as Lucy is always showing up. And Emma's car, out of nowhere. It's like, wait a minute, you're supposed to go that way. What are you doing?
He was supposed to be in school, and he was, And I guess, like I said last week, I kind of just justified that being that, like, he was in a small town, so they can get away with that. But it's just something I gotta look the other way, especially, like I said, if this is the main character who has to interact with all the other characters, you kind of guess gotta let it happen.
Definitely. I mean, like, at first you would just think that everybody's just so careless about him basically being in one place and things like that, and then all of a sudden, he's at Granny's, he's in the back of his car, he's
at the castle on the beach,
on the beach, just like Jesus, everybody just did. You run around everywhere. You have no self-control.
Yeah, like you said, I guess it's like father, like daughter. Monica, you had something to add about the ladies of the show?
Oh, that toolbox that Ronnie just sort of hands over to Ella. Have any of you picked up a toolbox? It's a box full of metal objects.
Look at how Henry uses it.
La-di-da! And never, and I'm like, and nobody is acting like it's heavy at all.
Well, look at how Henry was lugging. I mean, he knocked people out with the toolbox he had, so it must have some heft to it, huh?
And his little lunchbox thing had like 4 objects in it.
Yeah, and he's gonna fix a motorcycle with like a torque wrench with one size socket. No other sockets in there. He just got one size socket on this torque wrench.
It made it so much sense. Yes, obviously it's quote unquote magical now because the thing
barely magical torque wrench. It just will.
The thing barely runs out of gas. So I mean, shoot.
Yeah, that's what that should have been. It's like he fixed. He's like, I don't understand. It's like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, there's no gas.
Right.
That's why I won't run.
He's got. There's this as seen on TV kind of thing where it's I forgot what it's called, but it fits to what you're trying to
trying to use things like that.
Right.
What those? Are you talking about those gator socket things that like fit any size socket?
That might be it.
Yeah. I thought you were trying to say that there was going to be some way that a motorcycle would run on something besides gas.
No. I was talking about an actual thing, and I forget what
No,
it's
I understand.
called.
To
That
me
was
now,
probably the gator thing.
to me now it makes sense that seeing as how Regina's there, his motorcycle's able, to run probably just on magic. But yeah, before she even made it there, how on earth did he keep the thing fueled? Like, how did he keep it moving? Did he bump into some
I
kind of
asked that a couple episodes ago, and I figured it was the same magic that kept his phone charged.
Yeah.
Subtly, it makes the world of sense. Like, hey, could you use this object here and make sure that it never dies? And can you also fuel my motorcycle? And I'm guessing that he's talking to some kind of sorceress and said, "Oh, sure, why not?" I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Why not?
Oh my god!
It makes his mind.
I swear, especially one time with these unexplained theories of how he kept his motorcycle alive and his phone. It makes no sense.
All right.
Well,
so,
it fits right in with Henry picking up that magic toolbox lunchbox with the broken handle, handing it to his mom, and then all of a sudden that broken handle is fixed.
Yeah.
No handwriting required.
I'm just gonna have to chalk that up to continuity.
I hate continuity errors.
Well, especially on a show that's got like to do with magic and stuff, because then when it's something like that, you're like, like people like us who like examine every frame to see what it might mean or might not mean. We're like, wait a second, that was broken before and it isn't now, or wasn't now. You know what I'm saying? What does that mean? Does it mean, it means?
I know it doesn't mean anything.
No. I hear you. But it just means that Fred didn't do his job that day.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fred forgot to add a piece of clothing, and all of a sudden the person has the piece of clothing.
Darn you, Fred.
Darn you, Fred. Darn you.
Whoever Fred is, yeah.
I don't know.
Fred, you fired. Like, Fred, you forgot the cape. Oh, shoot. Okay, yeah. And all of a sudden the person has the cape. It's like, oh my God. Fred.
Excuse me. Okay, so moving on. Rogers and Tilly are in Weaver's hospital room. He's up and ready to get back to work. Rogers says the captain wants him to take it easy, but he's not having it. He's going to head back to the precinct to talk to the captain. He tells Rogers to stay by the phone. A nurse enters with a wheelchair that is clearly not going to be used. Weaver kicks it out of the way as he heads out the door. Tilly grabs the orange marmalade from the bed and heads out the door behind him. Weaver stops her and asks if he can help her with his missing girl case. Across town, Ronnie and Henry enjoy some pizza from Bella Notte. He says she's been acting weird since Lucy called her Regina. Ronnie tells him that she tried to adopt, it just brought back bad memories, that she tried to adopt in the past once, but it fell apart at the last minute. As for Lucy, Ronnie thinks that if they play along, the fantasy will eventually fade. Time for Operation Heartbreak. And he knows just where she'll be. Ronnie says she'll take care of Lucy. He has plans. Apparently, she forgot to tell him Jacinda's food truck is just around the corner. In the other realm, Regina strolls through the forest when she sees a hooded figure pick up a strange box. They open it and are instantly entwined in a killer plant. Regina steps out to help and finds out that the figure was Drizella. She is tired of taking orders from Mother. She has come here to find magic to help her get rid of her. Apparently she was born with magic, but her mother repressed it. Regina sees a lot of herself in Drizella and decides to help her choose the right path. In Seattle, Ivy brings the witch the dirt she needs to complete the spell. Witchy Poo does her hocus pocus and a spiny plant emerges. Witchy tells Ivy to be careful as she grabs a spike and juices it into a bottle while ominously threatening Regina. All right. So of course there's the Disney Easter egg of the Bella Notte thing, the stray dogs in the alleyway and whatnot. That was cute.
It was.
And then, there's always the lines that anytime Ronnie and Henry get together, they always throw out this little aside back and forth of like motherly advice, or there's always this like innuendo. I don't know if innuendo is the right word, but you know what I'm saying. There's like hidden meaning to some of the stuff they say to each other. And so like one of the, of course there was the mom knows best line from Henry, but I don't know the word I'm looking for, but when Regina said, "Now be charming and don't slouch," that's something she used to say to him all the time growing up as well, right?
I thought it was when basically the evil queen was her own person. She mentioned something about
now be charming and don't slouch. I just remember hearing it at least twice. I know it was a thing that Regina said to Henry a few times.
Definitely.
I didn't remember it from before. I thought it was just, yes, it sounds like motherly advice, and on the other hand, it's just good advice. Period.
Well, of course, there's the charming thing in there.
Otherwise.
Definitely.
So.
But Andrew J. West is definitely growing on me. As far as of course, we all miss Jared Gilmore. We spent 6 years with him as Henry.
Seen him grow up.
Right. And to be honest with you, I've never seen this act, or at least I don't remember seeing this actor in anything. I know he's been in other things. I believe the one thing they pointed to was The Walking Dead, but I never watched The Walking Dead.
I haven't
seen it. But what was...
he might have been, you know how The Walking Dead is. He might have been part of a group in a city that they were there for 6 episodes, and he was like one of the background actors, or not background actor, but you understand what I'm saying.
Horde, yeah.
Whatever. It could have been a number of things. But I do remember them saying that he was in, like when they were bringing him on the show, that was like the one thing that they kept,
pointing out.
Yeah, and you know how they'll have a name of an actor, and then in parentheses they'll have other things he may.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up later.
Anyway, but regardless, it's not an actor that I remember seeing in anything else. And to be honest, the first few episodes, there was an interesting article I read recently in Entertainment Weekly with Lana Parrilla, where she talks about acting with Andrew G. West and how she tries to do things in scenes similar with him as she would with
Jared,
as she did with Jared Gilmore, like the way she holds his face or the way she hugs it, the way she interacts with him, is she tries to interact the same way she would have it with Henry, and I definitely see that.
Definitely.
I don't even know where I was really going with this. I guess really it's just that he's growing on me. I even am starting to see some chemistry between him and Jacinda Cinderella. I know that was a big sticking point in the beginning of the season. But regardless, Tony, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I also too agree with the point of him growing on us and everything. At first, I wasn't too fond of not having Jared Gilmore on the show, and hey, maybe we could have had him act out some scenes, within the Enchanted Forest. Maybe, I don't know, early 20s or anything like that. It would have been nice to have him in the show as well too. But my question is, Fred is at it again. How in the world?
Continuity.
Yes, more continuity. Fred, you fired. How in the world did Regina get into Jacinda's apartment? Was the door open? Was it unlocked?
I don't know. I could almost.
I figured that Tiana let her in.
Or
Was
Sabine.
my assumption.
Sabine. Or
Sabine, yes.
Or I would actually, what I was going to say is that Jacinda is at Ronnie's so often and has her help so often that I would almost imagine Jacinda giving Ronnie a key to the apartment.
That makes sense, but still,
like if you've got a close friend who watches your kids, waters your plants, that type of thing,
you give them a key, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, what's the at first it did not even make sense. It's like, hey, I'm walking into your mother's apartment. Hey, I knew you would be here. Like I'm furthering the plot. I just
creep much.
Right, I'm being a creeper. I've come here to hopefully quash your hopes and dreams and bring you back to reality.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, come on. Something like, okay, of course. The person who plays a Sabine / Princess Tiana probably didn't feel like coming in and opening up the door for that quick scene or whatever. But still, it's like...
Or rather, they didn't feel like paying her for opening up the door for a quick scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would make perfect sense. But it's like, come on, how did you get in the apartment? That makes no sense. And also, I do like the addition of her about her saying, "Now be charming and don't slouch." I thought that was basically like the evil queen kind of coming out, but not acting, so like mischievous or things like that. It was just a simple, hey, be charming and don't slouch, or just some great advice.
Yeah.
And
good advice no matter who you are.
I totally agree. And you had a few notes to add as well, Monica.
Oh, just that thing that attacked Drizella. Was that Audrey too?
I caught the same vibe as well, to be honest with you. Yeah, I do not know if it was a mean green mother from outer space.
I haven't actually seen the musical.
Okay, so that's why that just totally flew. Have either of you seen Little Shop of Horrors?
I saw the Little Shop of Horrors original movie, just not the Rick Moranis musical remake.
Audrey has a musical number where I believe the singing voice is Leroy Tubbs, and he sings, "I'm a mean green mother from outer space." So
wow.
Yeah. That's why I made the joke I did, but it totally flew over. Like no one understood what I was saying. So
it's funny.
No, I know. I felt like I had to explain myself there. Hey, Elizabeth isn't here with us tonight, so that was like her here with us in spirit. Me having to explain.
She would have gotten it. Yes.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, she probably would have.
I told her she would be missed, and this is true.
Okay. But yes, I definitely caught that vibe as well, Monica. So let's move on with the rest of the episode. Henry grabs a boombox and does his best John Cusack impression for Jacinda. She asks what's up, and he rambles on about 80s, John Hughes, and mixtapes before finally asking her out. She hesitates, and he apologizes for drunkaween with Ivy. She tosses him a torque wrench, and they get to work on the food truck. At Jacinda's apartment, Lucy goes through her mom's closet looking defeated. Ronnie shows up and reminds her that Victoria doesn't want her there. Lucy says she had to come to find the book like Henry did. She hoped to bring the memories back like in his story. Ronnie says she would love for it to be true and tells Lucy that she'll help her. In the other realms, Drizella's in Magic 101 and Regina's the teacher. Unfortunately, Drizella can't even move a small rock. Regina realizes she lacks the proper motivation. She causes a chunk of rock to fall off a tower just above her head, and Drizella stops it at the last second. Regina tells her of the dark path she went down without a proper guide, and she wants to help Drizella not make those same mistakes. At the precinct, Ronnie shows up with a welcome back gift and a favor to ask of Weaver. She and Lucy want some info on a Regina Mills. Ronnie says she'll owe him one, and he agrees to look into it. All right, so Tony, looks like you have quite a bit to add here, so I'll just go ahead and let you take the ball and run with it for now.
All right, running with the ball. So, man, okay, so one big question for you guys. So, I mean, Drizella's powerful. That
apparently, because it happened pretty quick too.
It really happened pretty quick, and I mean, you know what? They didn't waste no time at all putting Regina in danger for a quick moment by having rocks fall on her and stuff like that. It really just seems like that. If you remember when she was trying to train Emma and doing magic, she basically said, "Hey, so I'm going to teach you how to swim." She basically just put Drizella like in the line of fire and say, "Hey, so yeah, I'm gonna let these rocks drop on me,
right,
and I'm gonna see if you can save my life." I'm guessing that's what it takes to to get somebody's magical ability out. But now the question comes to mind is, who's okay out of all the people we've seen do magic? Like, I guess I wrote down a little bit of a small list. So it goes with Regina, Zelena, the Black Fairy, Rumpel, Emma, Blue Fairy, Peter Pan, Cora, and then Drizella. Out of all those people, if you can quickly say that, like maybe the top 5, maybe, who do you think is the most powerful?
Well, I think top 3 on the show that we've seen, I would say Rumpel, Regina, and Emma.
Zelena, Black Fairy.
I mean, like, as of...
I guess I'd put Black Fairy up there. And Blue, yeah. Yeah, so that would be my top 5. Blue, Black, Rumpel, Emma, Regina.
Yeah, because who
That's
knows?
4.
Blue, Black, Rumpel, Emma, Regina. That's 5.
Blue, Black, Rumpel, Regina.
Emma.
Oh, Emma. Okay.
But but then I start saying like, oh wait, maybe I think Zelena should be in the top 5.
She should definitely be in the top 5, like, because by them having their little duel in the middle of Storybrooke Main Street, you can plainly see that at that very moment, because she had a pendant on, she didn't have like the regular level of magic. Her magic was magnified with that pendant, which made her ultimately, much more powerful. But
then, like, are the magic of Snow and Charming
a thing? No, I was thinking like literally people who have literally, we've seen on the screen use magic.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. I understand. But it was the magic of their love that ultimately created Emma that is like maybe arguably one of the most powerful, people on the show that we've seen.
True.
It's definitely as far as spell casting, that's not within their realm.
No, I understand. I understand. It's a different
different
category.
Type.
Yeah, category type.
Yeah.
No, but it's definitely an interesting question to think about, and maybe even one to come back to when we have like maybe a spoiler party type episode or something,
Yeah.
Or maybe what we can do is we can do a poll. That'd be a poll question.
Yeah, put something up on the Facebook. Like maybe we'll start a pub poll. Do you have anything?
I do have one more point. So basically, this is to address, because I'm getting sick and tired of this. Look, everybody who is a hater of the chemistry between Henry and Jacinda, this is for you guys. So, for all of those people who have stated that Jacinda and Henry have who don't have no chemistry whatsoever. Have you forgotten what the curse does? They had a connection with the wrench, and among other things. Also, if you remember, Mary Margaret and David didn't know they have much in common because of the curse. They had their shared moments. They had objects, with the flower when they briefly were woken up. They had the flower. They had their love. They had their words. Exchanging of words. Of course they wouldn't have no chemistry when they are completely cursed and they do not know each other. And with this curse, to be honest with everyone here, it just seems like this curse is much more heavier when it comes to basically making people not believe that that they have somebody that loves them or that they know people, things like that. And I mean, this curse really puts the oomph in making people forget who they are for the moment. But yeah, just a little bit of a statement to make, in my opinion. I think they have a lot more chemistry than what we've seen, and it's coming to light slowly.
No, I can understand that. I can see where you're coming from there. And like I said earlier in the episode, I do feel like they're slowly growing on me as far as the actors and the characters themselves, as well as the relationship.
Mm-hmm. It's like they're falling in love all over again.
Mm-hmm. Basically, and because that's what I was getting.
They started off not knowing each other within Seattle, and now there's something there.
And to be honest with you, if you think about it, even when we see them in the realms, all we see of them is before they're in a relationship.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
we haven't seen them in love.
Right, that's exactly how basically Snow and Charming were. They bumped into each other several times. Hey,
so maybe
he knocked her off a horse. She hit him in the jaw. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so maybe the fact that no one is seeing this chemistry is because that these actors are so good that they can act the chemistry with the chemistry or without the chemistry. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you'll feel it.
Hasn't been within the show,
right?
Yeah,
it hasn't been needed to
promised. It just hasn't been shown.
Exactly.
Right. And I don't know. So I feel like we're just not there yet. So give them time, people. Give them time.
Give it time. Like, calm down. The chemistry's coming.
And Monica, I feel like I'm doing a podcast with Bill here because like the past few past few notes you've had here have feel like they've come straight out of my mind. I mean, like I said, I totally felt the Audrey 2 vibe there last time, and like this note you have here, like what did you have to add?
Well, with Jacinda trying to move the rock. A total Star Wars vibe, and I was hearing Yoda in my head going,
"Move the rock, you shot.
Do not."
Yeah.
So,
do not, or whatever. Yeah. Or yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I totally like. I almost
right.
Yeah, in the recap, I almost actually put like Regina goes all Skywalker or something like I forgot. But yeah, I totally was catching that vibe as well. But that's no mistake because that's like the creators of this show have stated, that they're big Star Wars fans, and in fact,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, if you're a fan of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, there was a scene where they were in the book going over magical beasts, and there's a Sarlacc pit in the book.
I'm gonna have to rewatch.
Yeah, they barely see it, but there's actually an illustration in a book of monsters of a Sarlacc pit from Star Wars. And it's in I don't know exactly what episode it was, but it's in there. It's in there. Okay, so Excuse me.
Uh-oh.
So, moving on. Rogers and Tilly enjoy a half-played game of chess as he fills her in on Eloise Gardner. He's obviously at his wit's end. Tilly tells him to take a step back and realize what pieces he has to work with. Weaver shows up at Ronnie's with news about Regina Mills. Not only does she exist, she adopted a baby boy. She's obviously stunned, and Weaver reminds her that she owes him one before heading back to work. In the realms, two old friends catch up with each other. Rumpel tells Regina of the lifetime he and Belle spent together. He's come to find a way to pass on the dark power so he can be with Belle once more. Regina tells him that it seems Henry no longer needs her, but that she may be able to help Drizella. Rumpel warns her to be wary of Tremaine. Later, Regina and Drizella use her mirror to see what Tremaine is up to. Apparently, she is using the wand, practicing for replacing her daughter's heart. The only way to bring Anastasia back is to switch her heart with a heart full of belief. They surmise that she plans to take Drizella's heart for Anastasia. Drizella finally realizes just how much she loves her sister, or her other sister. Getting tongue-tied here, guys. Regina says she will help protect her. Drizella says the only way to stop her is to kill her. Regina refuses, and Drizella runs off to find a prince that will. In the Heights, Rogers sits at Ronnie's going over his evidence. He decides to pay the redhead a visit, or the redhead with the tattoos a visit. He busts in to find a old red sprawled out on the floor. Someone's already been there. Back at the bar, Ronnie opens up the adoption papers and seems to recognize the signature. She grabs a receipt and writes the names to compare. They match. God, there is a lot going on in this episode, guys. That's like writing tonight's notes, tonight's recap. There was like so much that I felt like I couldn't leave out, like I had to put in there, and so it's really hard to condense all of that down. I guess to start off with here, I really love how cryptic Tilly is. Very, I don't know if Carol, I mean, very Lewis Carroll. I was trying to think of a way to make it like Indian, make like a word out of it, but I couldn't think, but it's very Lewis Carroll, very Riddle, very, very Alice. So I definitely,
Tilly is just amazing.
Yeah. And once again,
screen time.
So many hurdles that character had to jump for me, being not only an Alice in Wonderland fan, but just Once Upon a Time, and would like I said, I almost like that show better than the proper show, and I loved Sophie. I forget her last name, huh?
Wow.
Sophie Devereaux?
No, the person who played Alice in the spin-off.
Sophie Lau.
Okay. But she was great. I loved her as Alice, but this is a different Alice, and I love Tilly. This is a different Alice, but I love this Alice just the same.
Definitely. I really wish they gave it a chance. I mean, because I think that really could have, win a few.
Oh, the other show, yeah. I don't mean to pour salt in open wounds. Yeah, I totally agree. But that being, I was just trying to prove a point that although I did love that show, and I almost had a, was harboring ill will towards this Alice character, because it's like not my Alice, what I'm saying? But
hashtag not my Alice.
Right, exactly. But as soon as Tilly shows up on screen, you can't help but just love this character and wonder where she's going.
She could have definitely been a good mixture of Sophie Lau's rendition of Alice on top of her already rendition of Alice, so basically badass meets today's Alice.
I hear you. Now I had another point when Rumpel and Regina were talking, and she's trying to tell her, she's like, wow, a lifetime in the blink of an eye. I can't even comprehend that. She spent 28 years rather frozen in Storybrooke. So I don't really see how she can't comprehend being frozen in time. She's actually done it. And then Rumpel had a very interesting question in that same conversation when he pointed out that obviously, like Regina feels like she's getting one over. It's like Rumpel's like, come on, think about it. You lived with Cora for years. Do you really think that Tremaine doesn't know exactly what's going on with her daughter? And
yeah, that was one of my favorite lines.
Is it more or less letting whatever is happening happen? And what you really need to ask yourself is, why would Tremaine want her daughter to learn magic?
Right.
And that question's never addressed really in the episode. So it makes me it leads me
to. It is.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Rumpel says, you really think you would have gotten away with this without Cora knowing?
Right.
And then Regina and Drizella look into that magic mirror, and they see what Tremaine is doing with Anastasia, and that they make the jump in logic of, okay, so she wants Drizella's heart full of belief,
which is a huge jump.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But it's full of belief because of Regina's teaching, because she has this sudden self-assurance.
Okay. No, I can understand. I can see that. I hadn't even thought of that, but I could see that.
Because of Regina's teaching, her heart is now, I would say, full of hope.
No, I understand. I can understand what you're saying.
But they use as belief. And that is what makes it ripe for trading for Anastasia.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, if you ask me, it just seems like, had Tremaine not picked up any magic, she probably wouldn't have known that her daughter was getting trained somewhere else. And also for the fact that
Regina came out of nowhere. I mean, literally came out of a portal from another world. So it's not like Tremaine had any idea that this would even be happening until recently.
Also, my question still comes to mind: how on earth did she even gain the magic ability?
Because I guess she was just born with it. I mean, this is a land that has magic, even though we've only really seen it from Regina and Emma at this point.
Drizella said that she was born with it.
Yeah, Drizella said she was born with it, and it was repressed. So we really need to know why she repressed it, and then, like Rumpel said, why now is she wanting her to learn to use it again? I mean, I'm thinking that maybe it's because she realizes that she can't do, or I don't know. It's hard to say because at first I'm knocking my own theory out of the water, because at first I was going to say that she needs Drizella to help Anastasia, but then they say later in the episode, like Monica was saying with the heart thing, so obviously Drizella's not going to pull her own heart out and switch it with her sister. Right. So I don't know. I don't know.
No, but to be honest with you though, if you guys have you ever realized that how people with the magic, they seem to turn out evil or wicked, as Zelena did. Basically, it makes it seem like every parent figure has always shunned their child for having a magic ability, like magic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Cora shunned Regina for having magic.
Well, no, like, so basically, they're an exception. Basically, like basically, Cora drew from her magic because all she wanted was power. Saying, "Hey, love is weakness. Power is what you want." But they're in them in that in a sense is excluded from that. But if you remember, um, Zelena's adoptive father shunned her because she had magic.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
you know, and the things that will push a person, you know, to go towards evil, like Gisela had her mother actually accepted her for who she is, you know, saying, "Hey, this is my child. She's full of belief. She's good. She's this. She's that."
gotcha.
But you know, she's not. You know, like it just seems like basically people with their magic ability, like if they have magic, they get shunned for it, and then you wonder why they turn evil.
No, no, I hear you, and I think that's the point that they try to show on the show is that, for the most part, I mean, there have been very few characters, but for the most part, even the most evil characters, there's like something that drives them over that edge.
Exactly. It kind of makes you really think that, hey, what if Zelena's mother was still alive and she knew she had magic? Would she have called her wicked?
No, I hear you.
Or you know, if her father was a little bit more open minded about magic, you know, do you think she would have turned out to be the Wicked Witch of the West? You know, she could have actually been, you know, have had accepted that destiny. If you remember that destiny about being, you know, one of the four witches at that table, and she would have been called the Wicked Witch of the West. Or if Drizella had, you know, if her powers were, you know, still going down the right path with Regina now that she's free of her mother's grasp and her mother isn't so, you know, not anymore because she's in the other place. But you know, had Cora come to her with a positive light about having magic and not just saying, "Hey, well, you got magic. That's all you need. This power." You know, it kind of just brings you down to the fact that would Drizella have been the way she was if her mother had accepted her for who she is and not repressed herself?
No, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And what about Gideon? First time around.
First time around Gideon, and it all you know, it all makes sense. But the thing is that it depends on the person who raises you in this world. If they are against magic and they repress it from you, the first moment you get at the crack of power, you're going to go back towards them and make them pay for what they did to you during that time when you were growing up.
I hear you.
You know?
Yeah.
It really just says a lot about parenting in the show. You shun your child for having magic, they turn evil. Boom, end of story.
And then real quick here, you said you had a question about the ruins on the guy's forearm.
Yes. What? I mean, I'm itching to see what that means. I mean, is that something that would probably unlock? You know what's going on.
Yeah. What's that rune mean?
It's obviously going to be pretty important. I mean, it's, you know, they've shown it quite a few times, and like even in this episode, there was like scenes of no dialogue, just like, here, let's show you this tattoo and this picture for a minute or two. So obviously it's going to play some significant role. I mean, if you take a look at it, it almost looks, I mean, obviously it looks like a ship's wheel. But then like these spokes, if you look at it closely, the ships, the spokes of it almost look like a like tridents.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he's part of some evil faction.
I mean, it definitely feels piratey, or even almost maybe even Poseidon-y or something. It's hard to say. But definitely of the sea at the very least. But yeah, like I said, it's definitely going to play a significant role, and more than likely,
they're bringing back mythology back into the show.
I wouldn't mind at all. I've always wished that they would go farther beyond just the fairy tales.
Yes.
But well, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. As far as what that ruin might mean, I think that we'll learn a lot more about it. I believe the next episode is called Eloise Gardner, right? Or no?
Yes.
And then that's going to be like the first part of a two-parter, or no?
Yeah, a two hour showing. I don't know if it's a finale
Right. I don't know if it's not. It's not. It's not. I think what's happening is I think it's the Thanksgiving week that there's not going to be a show.
It's either that or I don't know if the CMAs had happened already.
It's something along, like whatever. They're being preempted for a week, and so they're showing 2 episodes in 1 week that don't necessarily. It's not like it's not really a 2-parter even, from what I understand. It's just 2 episodes.
Right. It's basically 2 episodes without it being a finale.
Right. They're calling it a 2-hour event.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like you said, it's not a finale because I believe we have like 2 or 3 more episodes after those. Mm-hmm. We'll have a week off, and then we'll have another 2 or 3 episodes, and then that'll be the half season.
Go on break until almost close to Thanksgiving too. So.
Right, and so I think what it is like the end of December is when they'll, like come January, they'll take a hiatus for 2 months or whatever the case may be. Okay, and you had something notes about the signature, Monica?
Oh, yeah, your signature, it's not as careful as what Ronnie was writing. There's a speed and a movement that comes with your signature that's just, it's familiar. There is a way of writing your name that's just.
But see, here's the thing: is she wasn't writing her name. She was writing Regina Mills' name.
Exactly, and that's why it shouldn't match.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, to be honest.
I understand where you're coming from. Okay, so you're saying that the first one shouldn't have looked so uniform.
Mm-hmm. She probably
neither should have looked so uniform.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying, but hers looked that way because she was almost matching the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie. I would expect Ronnie writing Regina Mills to look like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because it is just, okay, I'm writing this person's name.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Regina's signature shouldn't have looked like that because she should be used to signing her own name. It should have a sloppiness.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Although I will say I've known plenty of people who do take the time, especially when it comes to signatures, to actually write it out like neatly in uniform and not sloppy. Yes.
That's probably what they asked her to do. It's like, okay, hey, we're going to have you write Regina Mills' name
so that we can see it on screen, legibly, I mean, for the most part, it's got to be chalked up to camera work. Like I said, like Tony was just saying that they need it to be legibly on screen so that we can see that these 2 match. So if you're just strictly talking about handwriting, I definitely understand where you're coming from. But I feel like this is just one of those things that.
If you ask me, the R was different out of all of them. I saw her write it out. The R was kind of different when she wrote it, as Ronnie herself.
Right,
I understand. The R's were different. So
and you also got to think that to make your head hurt, your ears bleed. This is Lana Parrilla, writing a name that isn't I'm sure
her name at all.
Right. Yeah. Right. So
to write in her actual handwriting, because she had, that's probably her handwriting, and she.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
And she had to stop herself from saying, okay, as if she was at a signing party.
Yeah, I'm not seeing like how many takes was it that she wrote Lana Mills? Wait a second. Okay, wait. Regina Parrilla.
Like, guys, I'm so sorry.
No, this must be an R.
Ronnie. No, that's totally wrong.
No.
Wait.
Oh my God. like, wait. Regina Mills. Oh, I got it, you guys. I got it.
Regina Perea. Wait.
Regina Perea.
Oh, yeah.
Ronnie Perea. Wait, no.
Yeah, so yeah.
It took her a few tries. I would not be surprised if that was an actual, gag reel. A part of the gag reel.
Oh,
That'd be great if it
that
is.
would be funny.
Oh my god! I swear it would be funny if it was. That would be great.
Excuse me. Okay. Enough fun. Let's move on with the rest of the episode.
Yes.
Drizella shows up to stop Tremaine. She's told Prince Gregor that Prince Gregor what she's up to, and he's not gonna let her hurt Priscilla. As he draws his sword, he is stopped in his tracks by Regina. She doesn't want Drizella to make a choice that she'll regret, but she hasn't come here to kill Mother. In an instant, she brings the vine from the box and through Gregor's heart. Now that her heart is dark, it can't be used to resurrect Anastasia, and she plans to enact a dark curse. Regina warns her that heroes will find a way to break the curse, and Drizella says she'll find a way to make it unbreakable. She thanks Regina for the final lesson before vanishing off in a puff of smoke. At Ronnie's still talking in, excuse me, take two. Ronnie's still taking in this whole Regina thing when Ivy shows up with dirt. But first, as Ronnie takes a drink, Ivy comes clean. She realizes she's been Mickey'd when suddenly 6 seasons come rushing back to her. It seems Drizella needs Regina's help to keep the curse enacted. But why would she do that? Apparently there's a loophole that if the curse is broken, something very bad will happen to the people she loves. She must help stop Henry and Jacinda from sharing true love's kiss, whether she likes it or not. Okay, so just real quick, me and Tony were talking off mic, whatever, before recording about Drizella. I don't know the name of the actress playing, the Ivy Drizella character.
Adelaide Kane.
Okay, Adelaide Kane. I don't know where I've seen her before. In fact, I don't remember seeing her anywhere before, although I'm sure this isn't the first time that she's acted in anything.
TV show on CW, Rain. Sorry, I'm a big fan.
Oh, right.
I'm a big fan.
I didn't even watch Rain, but yes. I remember her from the previews.
I'm a big fan. She was Queen Mary of Scots.
I've got to say that after tonight's episode, she's totally killing it. I'm putting her right up there with Lana Perea. You saw so many different facets to that character in tonight's episode. And I think what really broke it for me was the smile, or the twisted smile that she gave when that vine went through Gregor's heart. Wow. Like I said, I've never seen her in other things, but she definitely took the show for me tonight. And she stole the scene from Lana.
Right? That literally brought chills to my spine on how they were so, similar, when she all of a sudden was just, had a grin on her face and doing evil. It was just, la la la, break your neck.
You saw young innocent Regina in her. Then you saw her turn to the dark, just like Regina did.
There was a moment where she was shocked about what had happened, and then
that's exactly the moment I'm talking about.
No!
That's exactly the moment I'm talking about, where she barely touches her lips. Yeah, love it.
It was like a sensation. She basically was like,
yeah,
great.
loved. Just great scene, great acting, great writing, great altogether there. I honestly once we saw that Drizella was awake, after I think it was that was just last week, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Well, after we saw that, I was like, okay, well, obviously Ivy's going to have something to do with this curse. And then we see, this. I didn't think this.
Yeah.
But then I also wonder, though, like, okay, and I kind of teased this a bit in the beginning, but, like, did she cast the curse? Because we still haven't seen that.
We still haven't seen it, but dang it, she basically, if she did, she basically just told it.
Okay,
to us right.
So we've got this. We're right now we're led to believe that Tremaine thinks that whatever that somehow Tremaine thinks that she's enacted all of this, but in reality, and that she's the only one awake. But in reality, Ivy is the one who's enacted all of this and is making and made Tremaine awake to make her think that all of this is her doing. So, I mean, it's so many different layers to what's going on here. But what if there's
in control?
But what if there's another layer though that Tremaine did enact the curse and she's making Ivy think that she's playing her mom, but in reality, it's
you know what? There's so many hands in this new curse that could have been, so much betrayal. And when it all comes down to the light, it's like, wait, you betrayed me. No, you betrayed me. No, you betrayed me. It's like,
so there's
pointing fingers.
Either way, if this is the dark curse, you have to give up what you love most. So
if we're talking about the dark curse that we've seen enacted before,
if it's not Anastasia, who would it be for either of them?
That's very true. I hadn't even thought about
it. Okay, at one point, if it was for Gisela, if she did cast the curse, and for the person that she loved the most, maybe she at one point of her life she did love Anastasia. Maybe that's the heart that she used, or I don't know, or maybe they could have rewired the curse to not, to not need that ingredient.
I don't know though, because we've seen the dark curse enacted so many times before. That's like the one thing that's always been constant.
Yeah, the one consistency.
So at this point, I feel like I had almost forgotten about it, to be honest with you. But now that Monica's pointed it out, I would almost be upset if it didn't have to come at the cost of whatever you love the most. Yeah. I don't know if it necessarily has to be a person's life. It could just be whatever you love the most.
Whatever she loves. Okay, well, you know what though? The thing is that her innocence could have been an act all this time. She's like, okay, I'm going to put myself in danger. I'm going to make sure that Regina falls into my trap, teaches me magic, and then I'm going to shock everyone by killing the prince in front of my mother and Regina, and blah blah blah. Maybe that So basically, think about this: Zelina's curse that she was not curse, but Zelina's time portal spell. She was using somebody's courage. What if in this new curse, Ivy sacrificed what little innocence she had? Like a symbolism for her innocence.
I understand.
I would like that if it came to an important ingredient to replace the one that you love most. I thought that would have been a nice ingredient, but if it is. If it ain't, it ain't. Bad grammar.
Okay, so, did you have anything else to add about Drizella, Tony?
Yeah, other than she really surprised me this episode and the conversation we had off air. Wow, she really did it for me in this episode. And also, I see why when it was mentioned that her mother repressed her magic, I see the reason why, because she probably saw the evil in her way beforehand. She could have done stuff in her childhood, that made her, that's shown her evil intentions later on in life. And probably her magic is probably what put Anastasia in her current condition.
That's a very good possibility.
Yeah, and also,
because we've never really learned how Anastasia.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, and assumed it was Ella's fault.
Right, exactly.
Because
She probably could have said like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, Ella did this," and now Anastasia won't wake up.
Well, even Ella blamed herself, but maybe it was something. I mean, that doesn't mean that it wasn't ultimately because of whatever magic
Gisela did.
Right. That's a very good theory there, Tony.
And I'm also calling it now. She's the Guardian. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. I'm so.
I saw that in the notes, and I just
because if you remember,
it was Tilly all this time.
Really?
That's what I've always thought. Yeah, because like when
Rumple got a really good argument.
No, yes, you do. When Rumple first mentions the Guardian and then says, "Oh, I'll find her through this portal," and then he steps to the portal and Tilly is right there. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we were the only ones who were led to believe that Tilly, might be the Guardian.
Like I'm calling it. Like she's okay. First of all, she's brand new to evil. She didn't know she had the ability, to become this powerful. She's just coming into her power. She's cunning. As you can see, she came here with the prince, putting up a front saying, "Yeah, so the prince is here to kill you, blah blah blah. He's going to kill you. He's going to do this. He's going to do that." And all of a sudden, she just turned the tables on her own plan and shocked everybody. And basically said, with the flick of her wrist, the vine went through the prince's heart. It's like, wow, you just turned the tables on this whole situation, and you basically put darkness in your heart purposely, just to ruin this moment for your mother. Because if you remember, she was practicing on taking hearts, so she was probably going to try and catch Ivy off guard, not knowing that she's been honing her magical skills. It could have went into a very bad situation either way. Either she could have surprised her and say, "Surprise! I'm going to take your heart out," or "Surprise! My magic is going to protect me." It's like,
right.
I'm calling it. That's just what I'm saying. I'm calling it. She's the Guardian. Passing on the darkness to her will be perfect because of her proving herself of what kind of a person that she was back in the realms.
Well, I think these two theories depend on what as Gold says, he wants to pass it on the right way. So what does that mean? Because before we've always seen the Dark One only getting passed on by killing the previous Dark One. So if that's the wrong way, then what is the right way? What does that mean? What does it entail? We know nothing about what that is.
I don't think he's. I don't. As far as he thinks, I don't think the right way is passing it on to anybody. Because before he was trying to just throw it into a lake of time and hope that
he's looking for the Guardian to pass it on to.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think. I think that he feels like the Guardian is supposed to just help him pass it along without like being able to have him move on without necessarily meaning anyone else has to be cursed.
Well, see, the two things that we got to take into consideration. One, as we saw him trying to dump the dagger into the lake.
River.
Into the river of the lake. the dagger and the power itself extends his power across time. It's practically that, like, you know, with it's surviving time. You know, like it's a power that has been there since the very beginning of magic itself. You know, when Merlin first discovered magic, you know, that was given by, once again, mythology, the power of the gods. You know, when light magic was produced, and of course, dark magic probably produced as well, because of course we don't see the first dark one until um until around Merlin's time of first being able to hone magic from the what they call the chalice. And then also what you got to put into perspective is that, you know, you can't. Maybe he's hoping that Drizella will take or whoever the guardian is, if it would be Drizella, maybe she would be doing the honors and impaling him and taking the powers away from him. And
I understand.
Like that. So it takes into a lot of consideration about what is quote unquote the right way. You know.
No, I understand. I understand. Definitely a lot to chew on there. Either way, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move on with the final act of the episode. In the realms, Regina expresses her regret at helping Drizella to Henry. She says she felt lost when she realized Henry didn't need her anymore. Henry assures him he will always need her, and she says no matter what, she will always be his mother first. In Seattle, Ronnie looks longingly at the photo she found when Henry arrives with good news. It looks like things are finally starting to happen between him and Jacinda. He asks about Lucy, and Regina takes the opportunity to ask about his cursed past. He says he was born in prison just like the story, but he was never adopted, so he grew up in the system just like Emma. He never knew a mother, so he wrote himself too. She almost slips before taking his hand and saying, "I'm glad we're getting to know each other." And that more or less ends the episode. Kind of hard in the recap here.
It hurts.
Well, no. My issue here is knowing who we're talking about, because at first, like, you could just say, when I said Regina, you knew I was talking about something from the past, and if I said, whatever. But now, like, like in Seattle, Ronnie looks longingly at the photo. I almost wanted to say Regina.
because she is Regina.
Yeah, because at this point now she's Regina. But then that gets all confusing. And so, like, at one point I put in the notes here, Rongina. It's just, because this is like Regina acting like she's Ronnie. I don't know. This show makes your head hurt sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it makes sense, it's just hard to, like, wait a second. Okay, so there's like 4 different layers.
It makes you just want to go ahead and bash your head against the wall and say, why doesn't it make sense?
So Tony, what what did you have to add about this last act here, last scene?
This last act has put me in 2 different types of feels. One, it really just blows so hard that she can't go on ahead and kind of sort of wake Henry up from this nightmare we call the curse. It kind of puts you into perspective, like, you basically are torturing the heck out of Ronnie / Regina. Well, now she's now Regina now, so we
more or less,
yeah. Anymore. But it kind of hurts her so much that she cannot wake up her son, knowing everything. You might as well put
especially when he says stuff like he says, like, oh, well, I never grew up with a mom. I grew up in the system,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I wanted a mom so bad I wrote myself, too. Mm-hmm. And the look on Regina's face.
It hurts so bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
It hurts so bad. That's why I said it put me in the field. It's like wow, you're like she's right there. She could break this right now, but at what expense? It's just like the same sacrifice that Snow and David had to do. They could have walked through that door. They could have raised Emma the way they wanted to raise her, but yet you cannot take away that destiny. Same as how that destiny is for this curse is to be broken. So maybe she's going to make that same sacrifice and say, "Hey, this curse is going to be broken one way or another." So I can't, I can't break this destiny. Not this way.
We haven't been told exactly what's going to happen. Like all we've been told is someone, the people you love will be hurt. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah.
First of all, they didn't say anything. What's that?
And who exactly?
Right. Yeah. Like are you talking?
Well,
are we talking about all the main characters of the show thus far? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions still to be had there, even though we just answered quite a few questions this episode. Just like any good, story, you answer 4 questions and ask another 10, I guess. I mean, there's so much going on in this episode. Like I said earlier,
that's what I like about this show is it makes you answer, not answer, but it makes you ask more questions, even though you just find out the answer, because it's like a treasure hunt. You find one answer, and it leads to more questions.
Did anyone have anything to add before we move on to? Let me see what we have here. Is any questions answered this episode? Looks like Monica, you say it does look at the very least that Drizella cast the curse.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. We don't know for certain yet.
Yeah, and although, like I said, I do feel like there's at least a tinge of uncertainty there as to I mean, like you said, at the very least, she plans to enact a curse, but we haven't.
She plans on it. We don't know if she does it yet.
Right. Exactly. And then, of course, Eloise Gardner will be finding out next episode. I mean, more than likely, it seems like, obviously that is his daughter. But then I guess that would mean it's not Alice, right?
Could be.
Yeah.
Just because the biggest clue would have been, the night piece, doesn't mean it has to be Alice.
Well, there was wasn't it like he had her knight and she had his rook or something like that? Well, in this episode when they're playing, she's talking about the pieces and she hands him a rook.
I did notice that, and I didn't remember what piece it was that his daughter had.
Yeah, it was he had her knight and she had his rook or something. I know knight and rook were the pieces, so I noticed that when she handed him that, but I don't know. I mean, like we said, if Eloise Gardner is this missing girl is his daughter, then I really don't see how Alice would be that character. But we shall see. And then plenty of questions we're still left with, like even though she said Ivy has said she's enacted it, we still don't really know where the curse came from. I'm sure this witch in the tower had something to do with it. Why would she let herself be locked up in this town? I mean, there's just so many questions still to ask about that whole situation there.
She could have been another rendition of Rumple, saying, "Hey,
that we've said,
I'm where I want to be right now."
She's just 5 steps ahead, waiting for the board to be cleared, and that's what I'm thinking. That even even if it's like what I said earlier, where Tremaine is somehow playing it from the back and making Ivy think that she's the one in control. Really, when it all is said and done with, it's going to be the witch that the
whole string.
Exactly, regardless of who is in control in plain view. It's really going to be the witch back there that's been had this whole thing mechanized since the begining.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Um,
still not done with the fact about what happened to the Black Fairy. I don't think she's dead. Surprise! She's been awake all this. She's been here all this time.
Yeah. Pops out from the control panel.
Right.
What pass do Tremaine and Hook's second hook, Witch Hook, share? I think I'll just take that off the list because I doubt we'll ever.
It's either that or that was just kind of weird moment between the two.
Like we were just talking about before, who is Witch Hook's daughter? What's Alice's deal? I think at this point we kind of know she's just Alice. She just acts the way she is. That's the way she is. I still wonder if she has, if she is any kind of awake or not. Mm-hmm. I know she said that she's going to stay on.
There.
I know she said that she was going
to, or she's just able to basically see the truth for a quick moment before somebody dumps pills down her throat.
Yeah. As always, with Rumple's deal, Tony, you and I were discussing that. What were we saying earlier? We were talking about Rumple. You said that you don't necessarily think that Weaver is totally awake.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, with him, with him remembering his little antics or little actions, with Deary and things like that. And,
right. You think he's just starting to wake up, that he may not necessarily have a full idea of exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Who is in Belfry's tower? I think we've been discussing that for the past 5 minutes. I don't think we're really going to learn that until the end of this hiatus, like once we go into like the mid-season. Mm-hmm. I think it's like number 10 is actually called Witches. I think that's the episode where we'll really find out exactly who Witchy Poo is and what her deal is. Yeah. And then do you think the redhead's dead? Is the redhead dead?
That's a very good question. Very, very good question.
Didn't really he just kind of. First of all, he came in his last known whereabouts were this house. That when Rogers goes there, the house is just almost looks abandoned. Like from the outside, it looks nice, but then when you look inside, there's like literally no walls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All you see the inside of that. That was
unfinished inside house.
That was weird. That was weird. Like, why would this guy even be staying there like that? And then when Rogers goes in there and finds him sprawled out on the floor, it's not like he takes his pulse. There's no blood anywhere. So it's I don't know. I watched the show 4 times. It was kind of like, so what's exactly going on here? I don't really know, but whatever. If we don't see him again, then R.I.P.
R.I.P. character who
name.
R.I.P. character who was somewhat important.
Yeah, but important enough that we had to focus on his tattoo for 10 minutes. Excuse me.
Because who knows? He may not be the only one with that tattoo.
Oh, I'm sure he is, and I'm sure that's not the last time we'll have seen that.
He's maybe a part of some type of faction. I still believe that basically that tattoo on his wrist is a part of a secret organization.
And like I said, I've definitely seen seafaring at the very least. So yeah, I could definitely see that. I could see that. That was not pun intended. But anyway, let's get on to this week's arbitrary scale. Out of 106 branches through Prince Gregor's heart. Yeah, yeah. He felt every single one of them too. It wasn't an instant thing. He felt every single one of those branches.
Oh,
Out of 106 branches. Monica, what do you give this week's episode?
I give it 100.
Very okay. Obviously you liked it. What made you knock off the 6 points?
Well, there's always some tweaking that can be done.
So you're in the Anne Marie camp of there's almost never a perfect episode.
Well, there is a few points for that.
Always
There's
room
also
for
a few points for continuity.
Yeah, you did seem to have quite a bit of an issue with that.
That is just something that irks
Darn
me no
Fred.
end.
Darn it, Fred.
So Fred is our generic continuity guy.
Yeah, anytime there's any problems with costume or continuity or set design, we're just gonna blame it on Fred.
Darn
okay.
Fred.
Yes. Fred is my arch nemesis.
All right, Tony, out of 106 branches, what do you give this episode?
I was going to give the same rating, 100.
Okay.
A couple points of continuity. I really like 120% love Drizella in this episode, and now I no longer really loathe her. I love to hate her now.
Yes. Love to hate her. Yes.
Love to hate her.
Right. And that's where I think and that's why I feel like she's definitely filling the Regina role in the show. What Regina was to begin with.
I wouldn't even be surprised if she went back to watch her in her prime of when she was becoming evil and kind of took direction from there.
I could definitely see that. And it wouldn't be a bad place to take direction from, because Lana Parrilla has been like the highlight of this show since, at the very least, season 2 or 3.
Seriously. Right.
Okay, so I guess it's time for me to give my rating. Out of 106, I'm going to say 102. I'm higher than you guys.
Perfect.
I mean, this was just such a great episode. It really played to the once formula, like the tried and true of the flashbacks correspond to what's going on in current Storybrooke, or not Storybrooke, you know what I mean?
You ain't there no more.
Hyperion Heights. You know what I'm saying, though.
Mm-hmm.
That it's
Seattle.
Yeah, but I mean, it definitely had the once formula tried and true, which with Jane Espenson writing, who's been on the show since the beginning. I mean, that's a Regina episode, one of my favorite characters. Drizella, Adeline Kane, is that right?
Adeline Kane.
Okay. She killed it. And I don't know where she's been for the past 5 episodes, because I didn't see that out of her. And tonight's episode, she just blew me away. If I had any bad points for the show, a few continuity things. I still don't quite get the timeline. I really don't, because even when Rumpel showed up there and Regina's like, oh, a lifetime for you in a flash, but I still don't. I need to understand the amount of time that passed between her seeing Henry off in the portal on the motorcycle as Jared Gilmore, and then her going through the portal with him and Hook. I mean that it has to be at least 10 years. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
But see, here's the thing. It can't be 10 years, because then that would be crazy amount of time, because at this point, Lucy's not even in the picture yet. So we're talking, at this point, we're talking 10 years ago.
At least you said.
Right. So
also,
like at the point we're seeing in their flashback, we're talking about 10 years ago because it's before Lucy was in the picture. At least because Cinderella and Henry aren't even together yet, let alone Lucy not being in the picture. And so that's not even taking into account the amount of time that's passed between Jared Gilmore and Andrew West.
And
it just doesn't make any sense. So, like, is Hyperion Heights in 2023?
Yep.
To be honest with you, it really feels.
Monica just wants us to stop.
Like, just stop it. It hurts. But to be honest with you, my last
don't make my brain hurt anymore. It's not going to work. Stop killing yourselves, guys.
But my last point on it, though.
Okay.
My last point on it, though. Do you guys even think that Hyperion Heights actually received the same treatment as Storybrooke? Do you guys believe maybe it was frozen for some amount of years?
No, I don't. No.
Or was it just made out of nowhere?
No, because Storybrooke was hidden. And and had a spell that other people couldn't get to it, so that's why that was frozen. You can't just freeze a main suburb of a bustling city. Yeah, I mean it's not. Yeah, you couldn't do that.
Sure, though. And then also though, you gotta also really think about time. Basically just doesn't exist, in the land where Rumple and Belle were.
Oh yeah, well let's not even take Rumple and Belle into consideration here. Let's pretend that didn't even happen. I'm talking about Henry and Regina.
Oh. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
mommy and son being the same age, we are just going to ignore.
All right.
Done with it.
All right. So we'll just leave it alone for now. But I've got to say it definitely makes my head spin when I try to think about it as well, Monica. So we'll just leave it alone for now.
It hurts.
Okay. So Tony, do you have this week's? Oh, okay. News and feedback. Not a lot of feedback this week, unfortunately, guys. I don't know. At this point, I think I'm just going to stop asking for whatever.
We've definitely just become into a conversational podcast.
But regardless, we do. Not a whole. We are gonna. We'll go over this week the past voicemails, and we'll look into getting that out. Tony, is that what you're just talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do.
Want the goodies?
Yeah, unfortunately, we do have. Fortunately, we do have. A little swag box, nothing big, just some figures and a book and stuff to share the love of Once Upon a Time with the few listeners out there who feel up to the task of sharing some feedback with us. That being said, like I said, unfortunately, there really is none for this week. Not really any news, but we do have some ratings. Tony, did you get the ratings for this week?
I did. So CC7 episode 6 ratings were a 0.5 demo. Still
okay.
No change.
I read that there was like a slight uptick, but just still in the 0.5 demo. Like the total viewership went up like a tenth of a million or something. You know what I'm saying? Something.
I'm just sick and tired of it ticking. Why don't we just go up a full number?
Well, I will say this, that we're talking about Fridays. So, that's always been kind of a, in the past, it's been kind of the graveyard night, like that's where all good shows go to die, all genre shows end up on Fridays in their last season or two, and we're in a different landscape now, you know, with on demand and everything else. So I don't know if necessarily that has as much to do with things as it did in the past. That being said, like I said, this is a Friday. 0.5 isn't necessarily bad, and at least we're not going down. We're gradually ticking up, you know, so that, you know, that's a good thing. We're staying steady, and you know, the hardcore fan base is sticking in, and they want to see where this season's going. And to be honest with you, after last night, so do I, definitely.
Yeah. If anything, I would not mind if this went, you know, at least to season 8. Maybe wrap up what we've learning here, you know, and then bring in some new things maybe for 8, and then end it all off with a big, nice bow.
I don't know. I kind of feel like their hopes are that they'll have Regina and Hook and Rumpel on for maybe another 2 or 3 seasons to then segue into, you know, our new characters, you know, and that's what we've been doing. Like, okay, for this first 6 episodes have really all been about all of our, you know, the characters that we've followed to Hyperion Heights from Storybrooke. Whereas from what I've seen of the upcoming episodes, now we're finally really getting into, like, for instance, next episode with Eloise Gardner. Even though it's a Hook episode, this isn't our Hook. Like, completely isn't our Hook. This is a totally different character. So even though it's the same actor, it's still not the Storybrooke story that we're following, you know? I feel like we finally caught up with, like, okay, these are the things from Storybrooke that we're carrying over to Hyperion Heights. Now it's time to just really focus on Hyperion Heights. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to. It sucks that it took 6 episodes to really start getting into it, but I feel like we're finally really getting into the meat of what they intend this show to be, like phase 2, you know.
Yeah, I really wish, I really hope that it gets stronger, you know, with the episodes and things like that. Nonetheless, of it being on a Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think that, you know, for, like I said, for me, that doesn't matter at all as far as the Friday thing goes. And I think to the general viewing public, I don't think that really matters either. I think it's you know, we're living in a totally different landscape. But we want to hear from you guys. You know, like I said, not a lot of feedback this episode, but we want to hear your crazy theories. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear, you know, did you love this episode? Did you hate this episode? What do you think about who is the Guardian? Is it going to be Alice? Is it Drizella, like Tony thinks? Is it someone we've never even seen yet? How exactly are the powers going to be passed? Are they going to be passed on to someone else, or is he trying to stop the Dark Curse from the Dark One persona from existing at all? Does he want to pass on that curse? Who cast this new curse? Was it Ivy, Drizella, or Ivy is Drizella? Tremaine, the witch herself? There's so many different questions, and are there questions that we haven't asked that you guys want to have asked and answered? We want to hear from you guys. Greetings from Storybrooke at gmail.com is the email. You can always hit us up there. The Twitter is at GFStorybrooke. On Facebook, we're at Greetings from Storybrooke /Facebook. Or no, wait. Facebook.com/Greetings from Storybrooke. Got that backwards. What's that Willy Wonka say? Anyway, whatever, never mind. Yeah, now I'm rambling. It's getting late. Tony, if we wanted to hit you up on social media, where will we find you at?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Hoops900, HOOPS 900.
Okay, and Monica, how about your social media? Where do they find you?
Twitter at Monica Sedai, SEDAI.
And as always, you can find me on Twitter at InevitableHawk, HAWKE. Let's see, Facebook is facebook.com/BobbyHawk. Hawke. That's how you spell my last name, folks. It's Hawk with an E at the end, just like the bird with an E at the end. And of course, you can always hit me up here. You know, I'm usually the one that's answering like the Facebook feed and the Twitter feed and stuff like that. I like that. And as always, I'm here every week with 2, 3, 4, depends on how many people want to show up. But no. Hey, no, I'm 9. I'm just kidding. Elizabeth, we love you. You know, we're happy birthday to was it her son, her boyfriend's son's birthday?
Yes.
Okay, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
If he happens to be watching. Oh God, now I'm getting long-winded. Anyway, let me go ahead and end this suffering. God, why am I being so like dark all of a sudden? All right. Excuse me. Anyway, guys, and until next week, greetings. From
Storybrooke.
And it's not playing.
Oh God.
I know. Okay. Take 2, guys. Greetings from Storybrooke.
Bye-bye. Farewell. I don't know.